Hey, it's Gage from RodsNMods. So we'll start with beginner, and let's go ahead and show that process now. Starting with beginner here, we're going to start with 2000 grit. This is wet or dry sandpaper, and we're going to start with like a medium dense foam block. This is a Dura block. Nothing too hard, but not too soft. And we're going to wrap it around the block. We're going to take some water. And we're just going to sand the entire panel down.
So what do you look for?
So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to remove as much of the orange peel as I can. So as you can see, as I've sanded just a little bit, you can see where some of it's sanded and not sanded, and we're trying to get rid of that orange peel. Orange peel is normal coming out of the booth, especially after 5 coats of clear. And our goal is just to get it to where the whole thing is sanded like this and you no longer see any of that texture. Obviously, with 2000 grit, the finer the sandpaper, the longer it takes to start sanding, especially on this first coat, on this top coat like this. And you're always trying to break that initial surface. It always seems to always take a little bit longer.
So is this something that you would do like right after like a few months, like owning a car, or if you bought a used car?
Yeah, so your best thing to do is, if it's a fresh paint job, the longer you can wait before you wet sand and polish, the better, because there's a bunch of solvent trapped inside the clear and it needs to come out as much as possible before you sand on it. If you bought something and you're not exactly sure how many coats of clear on it, definitely this beginner cut and polish is definitely safer, because you're taking off very little amount of clear. With 2000 grit, it does not take off very much clear at all, but rest assured, you are still removing clear coat. Periodically, I like wiping it off so I can check my progress. As you can see, we are removing some of the texture, but there's still some texture left, especially around our edges.
Yeah, if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button and that like button and that little bell icon so you get alerted to our new videos. We put a lot of cool videos about a lot of the fab work we do, the painting we do, the cars we're working on, the customers' cars. We go for drives. We do a lot of fun stuff. So stay tuned and follow along.
We are done with our 2000 grit. As you can see, most if not all the texture is gone. It's a nice even dull, which tells us that the entire panel has a fresh, even sanding of 2000 grit. So my next step, something that I like to do, is I like to use powdered guide coat. Now the goal with this stuff is it's this black powder, as you can see, that's really, really fine, and it gets in all the sand scratches of the 2000 grit. So what it does is, when I move on to my next step, as I'm sanding it, that black will eventually disappear, and that tells me that I have those 2000 grit scratches out of the panel. And it also keeps me from having to over sand, so I know exactly when to stop. So we just put on a fairly light coat of this. Now this is a dark color, so it's a little bit hard to see because it's black. They do make a white powdered guide coat. I just don't currently have any at the moment. But we just get that, make sure it's all rubbed in nice and even onto all those sand scratches. And then we're going to move on to 2500 grit. And then I'm also going to switch blocks to something really, really soft, something that is pliable, that kind of forms with the panel a little bit better. And the reason why I'm switching to a really soft block is because now the texture is gone, essentially, and I'm no longer removing texture, I'm just removing sand scratches. And the soft block allows it to follow the contour of the panel a little bit better. It also helps out take out any block marks or stick marks from the previous grits. Just allows it to smooth out a little bit better. So as you see, as I'm sanding, the black is disappearing off the panel, ending up on the table and mixed with water, which is a bit of a mess, but to me, the mess is easy to deal with over potentially sanding through and having to repaint your panel. Try to be as thorough as possible, again, trying to remove every single 2000 grit scratch. So all that I'm left is 2500. It's looking pretty good. I'm not seeing too much guide coat, but because I can, there's plenty of clear on here, I'm just going to give it a nice thorough once over, just for peace of mind. Alright, so now that we're in 2500, we're going to move on to the buffing stage. I'm going to use 3M's Perfect compound, and then I'm going to use a wool pad on a rotary machine. This is essentially like another polishing or a sanding stage. This is a pretty aggressive buffer, so all it's going to do is we're going to remove all those 2500 grit scratches. It's going to have its own version of scratches, but they're going to be really, really fine. It will allow us for the polishing stage to get it to a nice mirror finish. One tip that if you notice something that I'm doing, so this machine is rotating this way, and I'm always making sure that the pad is rotating off of the edge. I never want it to rotate into the edge because it'll catch the edge and it'll flip it up and it'll be a mess. So I'm actually going to go ahead and turn this sideways so I can buff this edge and I can buff it off. Main thing that I'm doing here is after I'm buffing it, I'm coming back and I'm trying to look at the reflection, and I'm trying to see if I see any other cross hatching. We're going to see some scratches that are going in an arch pattern, and that is from the wool pad. But if I see any straight scratches going any which way from my cross hatches when I was sanding, I'm going to try to get those out. I see a little bit up in this corner here, so we're going to go ahead and hit that spot a little bit more. Alright, so as you can see, the shine is now back. but we're not done yet. There's still swirl marks, very, very fine scratches, and that's from the wool pad itself. Like I said, it almost like sands it in a whole nother step, but we are shiny again, so that's good. So now we'll step up to our polishing stage, and we'll see what it looks like after that. Alright, next step, we are going to use a dual action polisher. What it just pretty much is a DA polisher. A reason why I like this over rotary polishers is I feel like I can be a little bit more aggressive on it without leaving swirl marks like you're seeing here. This is a microfiber pad made by Meguiars. It's their microfiber cutting pad, and I find that it leaves a pretty nice finish polish. Sometimes if I feel like it's necessary, I'll go to a more finishing pad and I'll finish polish it, but this leaves a pretty good finish. So you can see just a few seconds and we're already looking a lot better. You can maybe see the difference here compared to over here. I don't know if you can see that or not in the video, but there's still swirl marks here from the wool pad. Here we're polished out, we're looking a little bit better. Continue on the rest of the panel. Take this tape off and we can kind of see the difference. So you can see it's shiny again, but if you can see this one here, a lot smoother, a lot more consistent versus the other side over here. You have some of your orange peel. Now I know this looks really good, but if we're talking about difference between a nice driver and a show car, there's still a little bit of ripples in the clear just from, you know, starting at such a fine grit, but overall we're looking a lot better.